There are many people today that claim that there are three groups of entities that are really in control of everything on the planet. Also, people are starting to believe that there is not much today that just happens by chance, but rather a carefully managed systematic control of society and world events. Two of these entities we are about to talk about have had a long history of controlling the masses, but their involvement was not so secret 2 centuries ago. What we will say that appears to be obvious is their current level of secrecy, and the obvious question is why? In this day and age of backroom deals, corrupt government politics, and untruthful government coverage of world events, why do you think that any entity would want to keep their entire wealth, personal interests, and business ventures to be completely confidential and hidden from society for the past century? What would they be so afraid of if the public really knew? What gives them the right, other than us agreeing not to demand the accounting for their secrets? There is absolutely no doubt that they have accumulated their wealth from the world's citizens and our ancestors from force and coercion. They have either stole, taxed, controlled international trade, or won by means of war what they have today. Yet we still honor them as if this was all accomplished as a noble cause. They only exist as long as we agree for them to exist. They have no special powers over the public other than the military, monetary policies, secret service, and the police that serve them. These two groups of entities that go completely unnoticed are European nobility and the Vatican. All that can be said about these two groups is that the rulers of our world, including our presidents, treat them quite differently than any other citizen on the planet. It is very apparent that there still are levels of upper class that our elite do not even register with. The Pope and the Queen of England, the most visible of the nobility, are never publicly interviewed or asked questions through the media and are still treated like the royalty today that they have been in the past 500 years. So if no one can see their finances, their interests, their fortunes, or privy to their hidden lives, then why wouldn't any intelligent person conclude by reasonable deduction their involvement in the world's decision-making? Because if chaos ever broke out, they would need to be assured that they were protected just like the world's governments that serve them. They have just cleverly removed themselves from the public arena. They are never questioned about their involvement in the world decision-making because they simply cannot be questioned. Let me ask you a really basic question. Do you really think that when the world's economy is artificially collapsed in the next few years, that European nobility, the Vatican, or the Rothschilds banking cartel will be hurt in any way, especially financially? If you really think so, then you do not understand European nobility and Vatican wealth. The majority of the wealth has come from the serfs, middle class, their ruling establishment throughout the ages. They have conquered nations, colonized much of the world, hold precious metals, commodities, lands, and just about everything but worthless paper. Oh yes, they do own stock and money, but that's only to divert the public from their real wealth, or often called old wealth. European nobility have been around for a long, long time, and they only believe in tangible commodities because they know that the money their bankers, the international bankers, print is just worthless paper backed by absolutely nothing. This paper we, the public, call money is what they call slave trading paper. It is simply just a way to keep the commerce of the world working. What they do not tell you about the world's monetary system is that it is designed to covertly tax citizens and keep the flow of wealth rising to the top. The European nobility and Vatican aren't particularly interested in accumulating any more wealth, as they already have most all of the material wealth in the world. So when you are unreachable in wealth, we are talking trillions, then the only thing left is power. So do they create covert operations, support dictators, or care about minor military or intelligence operations? No, probably not. They dictate to their elite servants large geopolitical goals and let the elite servants take care of the rest. They do not care how it is achieved, just that it is achieved. I would also like to add that although they have all this enormous wealth, how often have you ever heard of the Queen of England or the Vatican contributing to the world's natural disasters? I'm waiting. Exactly. Never. Why? Because we are to them only serfs, peasants, goyim, useless eaters, and if the world loses a couple million people to a disaster, then the world's better off in the long run. In their divine right, godless appointed look upon the world, when it comes to their agendas, if the end justifies the means, then there is no moral code higher than their agenda or wishes. The Roman Catholic Church believes it, the European nobility believes it, and the Zionists believe it. European nobility believes it because centuries ago they were ordained by the Roman Catholic Church by divine right. The Vatican actually believes that they are God's direct representatives here on earth. And the Zionists believe it because their ancestors, the Pharisees, made sure that the world was convinced that the Jews were God's chosen people. So when the majority of the developed world still believes in their self-proclaimed divinity, then they simply go unopposed. All that needs to be said is, look at their actions, or non-actions, and see how divine you really think they are. Do they follow the core message of their religious doctrines, or do they conveniently skip over the scripture stance on usury or money? Do they use scriptures to justify war? You know, if you torture a Bible just long enough, you can make it say just about anything. Do they ever share any of their enormous fortunes to help out the poor or world disasters? No, absolutely not. Instead, they live in large buildings, meet in hallowed halls, own palaces or kingdoms, while most of the world lives on $2 a day and does not even have clean drinking water. If this is the best our gods of today can offer, then we need to divorce ourselves from these gods, because any god that appointed them is only interested in power, money, and